Hi, welcome to my video on factoring a perfect square trinomial with a GCF. Previous video was on a perfect square trinomial. Now we're going to factor one with the GCFs because the first rule when factoring is remove the GCF if there is one. So if it has a GCF, remove it because it'll make the factoring easier to do. Always remove the GCF first. Let's do some examples. Factor completely. That means make sure you got to multiply to express as a multiplication completely. The GCF, let's look for the number 2, 20, and 50. 2 is a numerical GCF. 2 will divide into all the numbers. And there's no x common, so the only GCF is just a 2. 2x squared divided by 2 is x squared. 20x divided by 2 is 10x. 50 divided by 2 is 25. Now that we have that GCF out, notice we have a trinomial. And in terms of the trinomial, just look, that's a perfect square, which is made up of x times x. That's a 25, which is made up of 5 times 5. And if you multiply 5 and x, you get 10. 5 and x, you get 5x, and you double it, you get 10. So that's a perfect square trinomial there. And it ends in a plus. So that means that if I go the long way, to factor this, I get x and x. And the product, this is 25. And the sum is 10. So the factors of 25 are 1 and 25, 5 and 5. But what factors of 10 give me what factors of 25 give me a 10? 1 and 25 won't do it, so it's 5 and 5. And besides, if the product is a positive, that means your two signs are going to be 2 pluses or 2 minuses. Because the sum is plus, you'll have 2 pluses. Again, check. Multiply. Plus 25. Add, plus. So if we put a 5 and a 5 in, then that's the factorization. And also, that's an x plus 5 squared because they're the same. And another way to do that without working all that out, if you notice that this is a perfect square trinomial, and that's x, and that's a 5, then by noticing x plus 5 all squared, which is because it's a perfect square trinomial, then that's a, and that's b, and that's a squared plus 2ab. So you have an a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So notice that's an x squared. That's your 5 squared. And in the middle, you have a 2 times your x times your 5. So x squared, and that's a 10x, and that's your 25, or you can go the long way. B, there's no number common because that's a 1, but there's an x in every term. There's a 1 there, 2 there, and a 3 there as a power exponent. So we take an x out. We take an x out because it's in every term, and the smallest exponent is 1. X cubed divided by x is x squared. Negative 6x divided by x is the negative 6x. And 9x divided by x is just 9. So notice a 3, a 2, a 1. That's a 2, 1, a 0. And notice that the factorization is x squared is x and x. It ends in a plus, so you have 2 pluses or 2 minuses. So the middle sign is a minus, so you got a negative and a negative. Check, multiply. Negative times a negative, positive. Add a negative will give you a negative. And the factors of 9, if the product is 9, the factors are 9, 1, 3, and 3. Which pair will give you the 6? It must be 3 and 3. So if you think that's an x minus 3 squared, because it's x minus 3 times x minus 3. Or the other way is that's a perfect square trinomial. Remember that that's a 3 when you take the square root. That's an x when you take the square root. The product of those two, 3 and x, gives you 3x, double is 6. So there's a perfect square trinomial here ending in a plus. And the two ends of this trinomial are perfect squares. And the middle is the product of those two square roots multiplied by 2. C, we have a negative, so we should remove the negative as the leading coefficient. And we have a 3 into 12 is 4, so 3 is a numerical GCF. X is not common, so the GCF is negative 3. Negative 3x squared divided by negative 3 is x squared. Negative 12 divided by 3 is a plus 4. And x, negative 12 divided by 3 is plus 4. And if you multiply back, just check. Negative 3 times x squared, perfect. Negative 3 times 4x, perfect. Negative 3 times 4, perfect. And check. Notice that's a perfect square because it's x being squared. That's a 4, which is a 2 squared. So that's a 2 and an x. If you multiply, you get 2x, and you double it, you get 4x. So it ends in a plus. They're perfect squares, and their product doubled gives you the middle. So right away, if I wanted to, I could go square root of that is a 2. Sorry, x. Square root of 4 is 2. Because the product is positive and the sum is positive, I have a plus. So that's that automatically, because a perfect square trinomial is a binomial squared. Or if you want to go the long way, don't make any difference as long as you get it right. X squared is x and x. And because the product is plus, then the two signs are the same as the middle one. So you get 2 pluses. And the factors of 4 to give you a 4. 4 product is 4. So that's 4 and 1, 2 and 2. But which pair of factors gives you a 4? It's got to be 2 and 2. So that's x plus 2 times x plus 2, which is x plus 2 squared. D, GCF. We have to take the negative out because it's at the beginning. I see a 2 in this one. Look at the smallest number, which is 2. Is 2 a factor of 24? Yes. Is 2 a factor of 72? Yes. So 2 is a GCF numerical. And there's an, guess what we forgot to do? We forgot to put, I forgot, not you, I forgot to put it in descending order. Well, what a mistake. I forgot to do descending order of 3, 2, and 1. Because if I tried to do it like that right there, I will not be able to do the trinomial. So descending order. Now I see there's a 2 into all of these. I see an x into all of them because the smallest exponent is 1. So 2x cubed divided by 2x is x squared. Negative 24x squared divided by 2x is a negative 12x. 72x divided by 2x is a plus 36. Again, 3, 2, 1. So when you take the x out, 2, 1, 0 makes sense. And the constant term is on the end. So if you factor this, you can go this way if you want to right from scratch. Because is that a perfect square trinomial? Well, let's see. That ends in a plus. Yep. The square root of that is x. Square root of 36 is 6. 6 times x is 6x doubled, 12x. And it ends in a plus. So that's an x, and that's a 6. And because the product is positive, then the sign is going to be a negative. So x minus 6 squared is a quick way to factor that trinomial. But the old reliable way is x squared is x and x. Because it ends in because the product is positive, then you'll have two signs the same, which is the same as the middle. And the factors of 36 to give you 12 is 6 and 6. Now you can write them all down, but you can see 6 is a 36, and x minus 6 times x minus 6 is x minus 6 squared. So we have it factored. Now, practice means pause your video and work the 4 of these out to see if you're going to get them right. So remember, make sure it's in descending order. Don't make the mistake that I just made with D. So is this in descending order? No. So we go negative 5x squared minus 10x minus 5. descending order, 2, 1, constant. The negative 5, you have to take the negative out and the 5. 5 goes into 10 twice, 5 goes into 5 once. So that negative 5x squared divided by negative 5 is x squared. Negative 10 divided by negative 5 is a plus 2x. And negative 5 divided by into negative 5 is a plus 1. And, again, go right to the end. Perfect square trinomial. Ends in a plus, good. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 1 is 1. 1 times x is x. Double it is 2x. So it's a perfect square trinomial. So the square root of x squared is x. Square root of 1 is 1. And the sign is a plus because the product is positive and the sum, whatever this middle one is, that's what this will be. And if you want to go the long way, but it's not long, is making sure x squared is x and x. Factors of 1 are 1 and 1, and the sign's got to be plus and plus. Reason, the product is positive, so if it's a positive product at the end, right there, there'll be two of the same signs, which will be the same sign as that middle one. And there's the factorization. 2 is in descending order. That's a 1, so 1 is a GCF numerical. And we have an x in each term. The smallest exponent is a 2 right there. And x to the 4th divided by x squared is x squared. 4 take away 2 is 2. 14. 3 take away 2 is 1. And when you divide 49x squared by x squared, you just get a 49. So it's a 2, 1, 0. And whatever way you want to do it straight from, notice, is it ends in a plus. Square root of x is x. The square root of x squared is x. Square root of 49 is 7. And if you multiply those two, you get 14 doubled. Sorry, multiply those two, you get a 7x, and double it, you get 14. So that's a perfect square trinomial, and it has to have a minus because the sum is a minus. Or x squared gives you x and x, and it ends, the product is positive 49, so it has to be two signs the same as the middle one. So there's two minuses. And the factors of 49 to give you 14 is 7 and 7. And x minus 7 is x minus 7 squared. Number 3, GCF, I see a p. Take the p out. P into that term is x squared. 8px divided by p is 8x. And 16p divided by p is 16. And that's a perfect square trinomial. How do I know? Well, that's a plus at the end, which it got to be. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of x squared is x. 4 times x is 4x, double is 8. So that's a perfect square trinomial. X, square root. 4 is the square root. And the sign in the middle is a plus. So that's how you do it fast. But x squared is x and x. The factors, the product is positive, so I got two of the middle signs, two pluses. Factors of 16 is 4 and 4 to give me the 8. Remember, you can go 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. But if you can see that 16 square root double gives you 8, then you can see 4 and 4 works great. Remember, they got to add up to give you 8. That's a 17, that's a 10, so 4 and 4 works. And number 4, GCF, 7, 14 divided by 7 is 2, 700 divided by 7 is 100, so 7 is the numerical GCF, and I have an x in every term. I take the smallest exponent, which is x, to 1, divide, I get an x squared, divide, I get a negative 20x, divide, and I get a positive 100. Notice there's no x here, because you already have an x. So 7x times 100 is 700x. 7x, and whatever way you want to factor it is your choice. I got a square. Notice this ends in a plus. So square root of 100 is 10. Square root of x squared is x. And the middle sign is a minus, so that'll be a minus. That's the fast way. If you notice, it's a perfect square. And if not, let's take it easy. X squared is x times x. 100 is 10. So because it's a plus 100 product, then the two signs are the same as the middle one. So you got two minuses. And the factors of 100 to give me a 20 is 10 and 10. And x minus 10 times x minus 10 is x minus 10 squared. And remember, if you went the long way and you didn't notice 10 and 10, well, you got 1 times 100, you got 2 times 50, you got 50 got a 10, so 100 is 10 times 10. 50, there's a 5, so there's a 5 times 20. And do we have them all? When you're checking them all like this, you got to be careful. You pick them all up. Anyway, because the product is positive, they add up. So that's 101. That's a 52. There's the 20 right there. That's a 25. So 10 and 10 fits in. And 10 and 10 with two negatives. Remember, outside is negative 10. Inside is negative 10. That gives you the negative 20. And that's the factorization. So descending order. Be careful. Make sure you remove the GCF first to factor further. And if you do, the factoring becomes great. And remember your factoring rules. Remember the signs. And the signs are, if trinomial ends in a plus, then you'll have two signs the same as the sum that's in the middle. If the trinomial ends in a negative, then you'll have a plus and a minus in your bracket when you factor the trinomial. If you like my video, click the like button. If you're subscribed to my channel, if you're not already done so. And when you subscribe, click the notification bell. Make a comment on my video if you wish. Visit my math website, mathfullyexplained.com. Get information on me, which is about my degrees and teaching experience. Section on video talks about the teaching strategies you're going to use to help you learn your math. The content has the topics and the number of videos that's on my YouTube channel. Black font is what's already completed and online. The red font is what I'll be doing in the near future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.